Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be talking about the new Battalion Evil Twin Plus. That's right, a beefier version of the Evil Twin. This board features Battalion's medium camber with 3BT and sidekick technology. Medium camber is traditional camber. It is not an aggressive camber, it is not a mellow camber, it is just a traditional camber that's going to give you a predictable load, pop, snap, and drive from the board. The 3BT and sidekick will elevate the contact points at the tip and the tail just to reduce edge bite there. That's going to give you a little more ease of entry in and out of turns, as well as reduce the potential of catching an edge and dying. Do not catch an edge and die. The center section of the 3BT is wider, so it does give you a little bit more stability. It's easier to press on, and it's just better for when you're landing jumps. This board is available in 151, 154, 156 wide, 157, 159, 159 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that was a mix of blue and gray skies. There was some moderate winds, average temps. She had some chopped chunder, perfect corduroy, just basic everyday conditions, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. The overall flex of this board comes in just past middle of the road, and well, it's a twin, so you are going to get softer flex in the tips, which is very reminiscent of the regular Evil Twin. Then it's stiffer through the inserts to the middle. You'll notice that right away, that's where you feel most of the stiffness. The torsional flex is there, but it's not overly abundant. When it comes to stability, you do get chatter in the nose and the tail. It does resonate slightly underfoot. You will feel those vibrations. It's not enough that you're like, oh my god, this is happening, but you're aware that it is there. Otherwise, through the midsection, it's actually a fairly stable ride unless you just body jar yourself into something very abruptly, but you know, most boards that you do that on, you'd probably feel the same thing. So you do have to load the camber up on this board to get it to engage, and when you do, it will pop. This is a board you've got to be precise and calculated with. If you're one of those sloppy riders that tries to pop at the last minute and then wonders why when you're in the air it looks like shit, yeah, it's because you're on a board like this. You need to be calculated, you need to be aware. This is a board that's going to satiate anyone that wants to get it in the air because this board wants to be in the air. It's very lively and it reacts aggressively. On jumps, if you're laid back and let the lip throw you, you're going to be in the air. Now if you load it up and you pop, you're going to be really up in the air and you're going to shoot further down the landing. This is a board that can handle small, medium, large, extra large jumps. That's what it's actually designed for. That's why it's part of the Plus line. So one thing I really want to talk about is there is a flex point outside the binding inserts, and this is really where you want to precariously balance your weight. It's going to make all your presses look better when you're buttering. You know, that's the big thing. Now, you do have 3BT and sidekick that's going to spoon out the nose, so you know, no edge catch, you're going to be fine. Or if you're one of those people. But realistically, you kind of have to know how to butter with this board to really get a good one out of it. If you don't, well, you need to learn. So once you understand where that flex point is versus the carbon array, the camber profile, and the 3BT and sidekick, you can get it all to work in conjunction, and it's going to be fine when you go sideways. You don't have to worry about those edges hooking, and you're going to do what you need to do. Now, when it comes to jibbing, you got to kind of manhandle this board. You're going to get a lot of spring out of it, but you got to know where to hit this board and how to lock it in on that flat section in the 3BT, because if you don't, man, your presses are going to look like shit, I'll be honest with you. So when you get it locked in, you make it to the end of the feature, it's going to snap. When you go sideways, this board slightly, and I mean ever so slightly, cradles the feature. It's not one of those boards you got to worry about it clapping out. This thing is borderline doing a balance act on it, but it has a little bit of a caress to the feature. Can you jib? You're good. If you can't, well, time to learn. Basically, the way I look at it is if you're a slopestyle rider, you're hitting features with a little more speed, a little more finesse, a little more power, you're going to be fine. If you're not, well, time to learn. Here's the thing with this board. You steer it a little differently, more towards underfoot. That's just the nature of the beast with the 3BT. You're losing that edge bite out there. You're not losing as much edge bite as you would with the regular version. Feels like there's still power. Now this board, when it's on edge, is very smooth and fluid, and part of that is that transition from toe to heel from the 3BT. Just once you understand that you're bringing it back more underfoot, it changes the dynamic. This is a board you can lay a hard park carve when you're going around a feature, or you can do short, tight, quick, mellow setup turns with. It carves when you need it to. It's just not the best on really firm or sheet ice conditions. You got to be aware of that. But overall, I do like the way that you get that power from the center back through the tail. You can just really leverage that and hammer that speed out of the turn. Who's this board for? The higher end park rider. So overall, there's a little bit of a difference between the regular Evil Twin and the Evil Twin Plus. And most people aren't going to notice that difference except when they're popping and they suck their knees up. They're going to be like, wow, I'm going a little bit higher and further. It's not one of those mind-blowing differences where you're like, wow, this is a completely different board. It's a subtle difference and it stands out. What you lose in the playfulness and the tips to gain that extra power and that torsional flex, it makes up for it because you get more stability on a landing. And like I said, you get more power out of a carve with it. But you lose a little bit of the play. Really, that's the difference. If you want it a little more playful, you get the regular Evil Twin. If you want a little more power because you're hitting bigger features, you need a little more speed, and you have that know-how to drive a higher end board, then you go with the Plus series of it. That's really the differences between the two of them. Comparable boards: the Solomon Huckknife Pro, the Arbor Westmark Camber, the Capita Outsiders. Binding recommendations: the Battalion Astro, the Ride A8, the Now Select Pro. This has been my review of the Evil Twin Plus. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you going to buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.